Welcome, class, to day 6 of Let's Talk History / Black History on Kevin's TV. We're late to class today, but we're going to keep this train going, and we're going to keep the motivation going. On today's episode, I discovered a story on Medical News Today and Essence.com of Henrietta Lacks. Henrietta Lacks was an African-American woman whose life impacted human rights and privacy from the year of 1951 all the way up until today. And in today's video, we'll be talking about the history and Black history of Henrietta Lacks and the importance of knowing our human rights and what is going on in the U.S. today. Well, it was after giving birth to her 5th child that Henrietta started noticing that she was having issues with her cervical area. She decided to go to Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, which was the only hospital at the time that would seek Black women for treatment. Doctors diagnosed Henrietta with an aggressive form of cervical cancer. She was afraid to tell her husband and her children and family of the fact that she was having these cervical issues going on and that she had to go to the hospital, and if there would even be a cure or medication for it. Well, taking a sample of her tissue and a sample of her tumor, Dr. Gay, who did the diagnosis at this time, violated her human and privacy rights. Well, not only was Henrietta afraid to tell her husband, her children, and her family the fact that she was having these cervical issues going on, but also the fact that she had to go have these tissues and cells removed from an all-white hospital in Baltimore. And this was also during segregation. Also, racism was high at this time also. In relation, I could understand exactly the frustration and the fact on why that Henrietta decided that she, or why she did not want to tell her husband and her children the fact that she was suffering these illnesses. In today's world also, if a person is going through such illness like this, and I know a lot of people personally who have suffered from cancer and other major illnesses also. Well, not only is the fact that it's their privacy rights and human rights, but they're afraid of what people may say, what may happen next, what the doctors may say, what their loved ones may say or think. And, you know, it may not be just about the support that they have, but it could also be about the emotional and mental and physical stage that their person is going through. Well, to break this down in a small but big way also, Dr. Gay, who diagnosed and removed the tissue cells from Miss Henrietta at that time, did so without her consent. Now, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, follow along with me here. It is very important that when you go to doctors that you have insurance, and also that you read every question and everything that they're asking you on that paperwork before you just sign off on it or before you even head to the back room. Because you won't want to be in Miss Henrietta case or shoes, where you get yourself into a medical situation and they're getting ready to perform something on you without your consent or without you knowing. Well, back to the story. So, Miss Henrietta ended up passing away at the age of 31. That was because Dr. Gay had removed her cells without her consent. He passed them on to, he ended up passing those on to other doctors and universities and patients as well, before finally figuring out or determining that the cause of Henrietta's death was cervical cancer. Henrietta's own cells, which were placed in that holding, ended up being known as HeLa cells. That's HeLa cells. And once again, HeLa cells, which were Miss Henrietta Lacks' own personal cells, ended up making a major impact on a lot of diseases in America today. HeLa cells became a major development for some of the most common diseases such as the flu, pneumonia, COVID-19, leukemia, HIV and AIDS, sickle cells, and more. Most of the time, when a person goes to the hospital or doctor and then they find out that they are diagnosed with something, and you see this sad look on their face, or they just not in the mood to talk, it's mostly because they feel ashamed, or they feel hurt, or they feel less healthy in themselves. They feel like they've let themselves down because of this issue that they are having. But in reality, it's not the fact that you are suffering this issue that you are going through, or this medical issue that is going. And even though Miss Henrietta passed away at a young age, God always knows the plan. God knows the plan before any of us get here. And He all makes us uniquely different in any shape, form, or fashion, no matter your skin color. And even though Miss Henrietta passed away at a young age, and her family, she hid the fact that she was going through this illness of cervical cancer from her family. They didn't find out until decades later, but also those doctors did not figure out what cervical cancer was until years later also. And if it was not for Miss Henrietta and her cervical cells, which are also known as HeLa cells, they would probably not be able to identify cancer today. And once again, like I said, I know a lot of individuals personally who has faced cancer, and they cried about it. They cried about it. They were hurt about it, and it's not a way that we want to live. That's like me myself. I have a hearing ability, but I don't like living that way. But that's the way that God made us. God made us all differently, and He placed us in this world to have a story for different people. Miss Henrietta Lacks had a story for cancer survivors and people who lived or died from cancer today. If it was not for Miss Henrietta Lacks and the HeLa cells and the medication development for today, and for the vaccines and diseases which I listed earlier, we all might be dead. We all might be dead. And that's why Black history is important. You should know your history and you should know your rights. Especially when you go to the doctor and before the doctor perform a procedure or any type of test or diagnosis on you, without your consent. It's very imperative that you give your consent to the doctor before these testings or procedures are done. And once again, thank you to all of those Black history leaders and heroes that have fought, crawled, and strived and made a way for us today. And Miss Henrietta Lacks is a whole example herself of human rights, privacy rights, ethical rights, and ways that we go through these tests in today's world. So once again, you guys, thank you for watching my video. I hope you guys learned something. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your post notification bell for the next video. Thank you and peace out.